Hi there! Today we'll be doing some practical work. Our lesson today will be on listening and producing different speeches with reference to word boundaries, compound words, and phrases. And at the end of this lesson, you should be able to listen to different speeches with particular reference to weak forms. Listen to different speeches paying attention to word boundaries. Listen to different speeches with special reference to compound words. And also, listen to different speeches paying attention to phrases. Now, are you ready? Then let's begin by looking at what each of our focus points means. Firstly, let's look at weak forms. Now, weak forms are structural words such as prepositions, conjunctions, auxiliaries, and articles that are not stressed in connection with speech, since they do not carry the main content. For example, in this sentence, do you have any money? We can say that the weak form in the sentence is the word any, because it doesn't really add to the sentence's meaning. That's simply what weak forms are. Easy, isn't it? Next, let's look at word boundaries. I bet you're already familiar with word boundaries. You just didn't know what they are called. Now, a word boundary is that part of a sentence where one word ends and another one begins. In writing, the white spaces between words let us know where one word ends and another one begins. To recognize it in speaking, you can clap your hand after pronouncing each word in a sentence. For example, in this sentence, Ayo loves to watch cultural dances. Now, how many times did I clap? Did you say 6 times? That is correct. I clapped each time I pronounced a word, and I clapped 6 times because there are 6 words in the sentence. Now, the time it takes between each clap or word and the next clap or word is the word boundary. Therefore, there are 5 word boundaries in the sentence. Interesting, isn't it? Next, let's look at compound words. Now, compound words are words that arise by combining 2 separate words to give a new word with a meaning that is different from that of the individual words. In writing, compound words could be joint, remain separate, or hyphenated. For example, in the word everywhere, we can see that the word every combines with the word where to form a new word, which is everywhere. Also, in the word ice cream, although a space separates the words, we pronounce them as one and can see that the word ice combines with the word cream to form a new word, which is ice cream. Also in the word 22, although a hyphen separates the words, we pronounce them as one and can see that the word 20 combines with the word two to form a new word, which is 22. Now I bet you can think of many other compound words. Did you just think of classroom? Well, that is correct. Classroom is also a compound word as it is formed by combining class and room. Now finally, let's take a look at phrases. A phrase is a group of words that express a concept and is used as a unit within a sentence. Simply put, a phrase is a unit of a sentence that, when standing alone, makes some sense. Bear in mind that there are different types of phrases. All sentences may have one form of a phrase or the other. For example, in the sentence, Mother told us a story as old as time. A story as old as time makes sense if it were to stand alone, so we can say it is a phrase. Now that's simply what phrases are. Quite easy, isn't it? Well, having looked at weak forms, word boundaries, compound words, and phrases individually, let's see if we can recognize each of them in a short passage. There are tiny little insects called bugs everywhere. Some of them are so small that you can't even see them. Most bugs don't bother people, but they can live anywhere. However, bed bugs are bugs that live in beds and bother people because they bite and cause itching. Now, can you recognize some examples of weak forms, word boundaries, compound words, and phrases from that passage? Let's look at the passage together and identify some examples of each of them. Firstly, you can see from the passage that there are spaces between each word. And these spaces, as we have said, are known as... Did you say word boundaries? Well, that is correct. They are word boundaries. Next, can you see any weak forms? Remember, we learned that weak forms are structural words like prepositions and the likes that are not stressed because they do not carry the main content. Now, can you recognize any weak form from this passage? Let's find some together. Don't you agree that the word are here and also the word in are examples of weak forms because they do not carry the main content? Well, that is right. They are good examples of weak forms. Next, can you recognize any compound word in the passage? Remember, compound words are words formed by the combination of two words. Don't you think the words anywhere and even bedbugs are good examples of compound words in the passage? Well, you're correct. They actually are. And finally, can you recognize any phrase in the passage? Remember, a phrase is a unit of a sentence that, when standing alone, makes some sense. From this sentence in the passage, there are tiny little insects called bugs everywhere. Can you pick out a phrase? Did you say tiny little insects called bugs? Well, that's absolutely right. Now it's quite easy, isn't it? You may pause the video and pick out as many weak forms, compound words, and phrases as you can. And with that, we've come to the end of our lesson on listening to and producing different speeches with reference to word boundaries, compound words, and phrases. Remember, we learned about what they all are and how to recognize and identify them in sentences and passages. See you all in the next class.